I like to say you should always start with a clean slate whenever you start a new WordPress project. And that is especially true when you're starting an e-commerce project. Because if you have an existing site with existing navigation and an existing structure, and you want to add e-commerce into it, you may have to change a lot of the features on your site to make everything work properly and make it easy for people to find the content on your site. That doesn't mean you have to start a new site to make an e-commerce site. It just means starting a new site is probably easier than incorporating e-commerce into your existing site. When you create an e-commerce site, there are certain things you have to add that wouldn't be in a regular WordPress site or any other site for that matter. Things like adding a privacy policy and a terms and conditions page become very important because you need to tell people what you are doing with the information they're sending to you. The privacy policy page is a page where you would outline exactly what happens to the information people send to you. Things like you are not going to sell that information to someone else or share it, and that you are keeping it secret. And the terms and conditions page outlines what happens when people buy the product, what terms and conditions they're buying the product under. So adding these pages is very important. As you can see, I've added a privacy policy and a terms and conditions page to my site already. I can't give you a template for it because these are legal pages and what goes inside them changes depending on your business. So you have to do your own research here and create the pages. In addition to a privacy policy and a terms and conditions page, you should also have an about page that tells the story of the store and tells information about the store. And you should have a contact page so people can easily contact you. And that's what we're going to make now. So to make a new contact page, I'm going to go to New and select Page. And then I'll create a contact page. So I'll call it Contact. And then I'll put in some text here. I'll just say, contact us with questions, comments, or suggestions by filling out the form below. And the reason why I want to add a form is because I want to control the type of information people send to you. And I also don't want to receive a lot of spam, because if you leave an email address open in a page on the internet, then spam bots will find it and start sending you lots of garbage email, and you don't want that. Of course, this is a contact page, so you can add other information here too. You can add your mailing address or your visiting address, your phone number, or even a map if you need to. But I'm going to add a form. And to add a form, I first need to add a plugin. So I'm going to save this as a draft. And then I'll go to Plugins and select Add New. And here I'll search for Grunion. The Grunion contact form plugin is a simple contact form plugin that works really well. The reason I like the Grunion contact form plugin is because when people respond to the forms, the responses end up in your site, so you can manage them from here. You don't have to read them in your email unless you want to. Now that I've installed the plugin, I'm going to activate it. And then I'll go back to my pages and find my contact page. And now I have a new button here right next to Add Media that lets me add a custom form. So I'll place my cursor where I want the form to appear. And I'll click Add Custom Form. And from here, I can configure a new form. The default form here is actually fine for my purposes, but if you want to customize it, like you want to add maybe a drop down to ask people, how did you find us? Or what type of question is this? Or you want to collect more information like a phone number to people, you can do so by clicking Add a New Field down here at the bottom. You can also configure where the email notifications go to and what the emails look like by going to the Email Notifications tab. But I'm just going to insert the form as it is. So I'll click Add this form to my post. And as you can see, the form actually consists of a series of these shortcodes. So these shortcodes combined will create the form I need. Now I'll click Publish, and I'll go view the page. And you'll see we now have a nice contact page with a simple form that people can fill out and submit. But if I scroll down to the bottom, you notice I also have a comment section. And if I go to the other pages and scroll down, you'll see we have comments at the bottom of those too. That's because by default, WordPress allows us to have comments on pages. But I don't want comments on my pages, so I'm going to disable it. And I'm going to disable it for all the pages. So I'll go back to the dashboard, go to Pages, All Pages, and then I'll check all the pages here, go to Bulk Actions and click Edit, and click Apply. And now I can set comments for all these pages to Do Not Allow. When I update, you'll see that when we go back to the page, so I'll go back to the About page, there's no more comment section. As you add new pages onto your site, you have to keep doing this so that you don't have the comment section under your shopping cart and under your store and so on. But that's an easy way of mass editing all of your pages at once to enable or disable features. Now I have the pages I need. The next step is to reorganize my menu, because as you can see right now, we have an alphabetical menu plus the home button at the very front. What I want to do is change this so that the contact button is at the very end. To do that, I'm going to create a new menu, and I can do that in several different ways. I can either go to the toolbar and select menus, or I can go to the dashboard and then go to appearance and menus. Here I'm going to create a new menu, so I'll call it header menu. Click create menu. Then I'm going to assign header menu to the primary menu area in my theme. And then I'm going to add items to my menu. So I'll click on View All here under Pages, and then I'll add all 5 items. So the home page, About, Contact, Privacy Policy, and Terms and Conditions. And then I can drag these around to reorganize them. So now I put the Contact page at the very bottom, and then the About, Privacy Policy, and Terms and Conditions. I can click Save Menu, go view the site, and the menu is different. I can take this a step further by creating a drop-down for these legal pages. So I'll create a menu item that goes nowhere by putting a pound sign instead of a URL. And then I'll say legal. Click Add to Menu. And then I'll drag Terms and Conditions and Privacy Policy down here under Legal. And then I'll place Legal before Contact and click Save Menu again. Now when I reload the page, you'll see we have a legal with the drop-down. For this course, I'm going to be using the 2012 theme as the default theme for my site. If you want to further customize the 2012 theme, you can do so by activating the Theme Customizer. If you go to the toolbar here and select Customize, you'll open the Theme Customizer, and from here you can do things like hide and display the header text. You can change the colors of the site. You can change the navigation, so right now it's set to header menu, and you can do other things. This theme also allows you to add a header image. It would appear directly under the menu here. So if you had a header image with a logo in it, I suggest you turn off the title and tagline as well. And you can also do some other customizations. But you don't have to use the 2012 theme to follow this course, because I'm going to be talking about how to use the plugin itself and also how to generally configure the site. So the things that I'm teaching you in this course apply to any theme that you might be working with. The final thing I want you to do is create proper permalinks for your site. If you look here, by default, if I go to this single post, you'll see that the link to it is $P = 1. That's because this is post number 1. But this isn't a very readable permalink. So I want to change the permalink structure of my site so that it's easier to find things. And I want to do that for a specific reason that we'll address later on in the course. To change your permalinks, you go to the admin panel, go to settings and permalinks, and from here you can set it to a bunch of different settings. I recommend setting it to post name here and click Save Changes. If you go back to the front page now, you should be able to navigate directly to a post or go to any of the pages. And as you do, you'll see the permalink, for instance, to the About page says About. If this doesn't work and you're using a local host installation, it might be because you don't have the correct configurations. It'll work on an external server. So if you're doing this and you just get error messages, just go back and change permalinks back to default. So go back to the dashboard, settings, and permalinks, and change it back to default. That way you can run it on your local computer with no problems. And when you get to the server that's on the web, just change it back to postname. By planning and setting up key elements of your e-commerce site before you start working on the e-commerce solution itself, you won't get distracted by or forget key components of the site when you start working with the plugin. Because as you'll see shortly, once you get into the nitty-gritty of easy digital downloads, everything will start fading into the background.